everyone. Oh my goodness. Yes, you're actually seeing this face. If you're new, hi, welcome. If you've been around before, thank you so much for coming back. I'm excited to talk to you guys about my 2022 year in books and a little bit about my tentative goals for 2023. Okay, so for 2022, I read 80 books. The year before, I read 80 books. And I found that with the last 2 years, it's kind of been a scramble, like on New Year's Eve or the day before New Year's Eve, usually New Year's Eve, to get like to 80. My goal this year was 65 because I wanted to physically read more books. I've kind of been leaning on audiobooks as a crutch the past few years, and I truly miss the joy that like having an actual book and physically reading brings. I used to be able to do like 8 books in a month, and now like I'm not even doing one. Like I don't think I got one physical book read last year, not one graphic novel. It's an issue and I'm working on it. For 2022, I had a goal to read 65 books. I read 80. I found that a pattern that has kind of happened the past 2 years. Trying to get those last few books in. I actually like this. I'll read like self-help audiobooks like on New Year's Eve. Usually they're like short and sweet and to the point, but they're also very motivating. So it's a nice way to end the year and to ease into a new year, feeling hyped up with things to accomplish and a positive outlook, being on the whole vibe of positive affirmations and just bringing the new year in with great intentions and goals. Another goal that I have every year is to read more nonfiction and read more nonfiction. Usually I set the goal at 12. Last year I read 15 nonfiction books. And funny as it is how I set this as a goal, like it's a struggle for me, most of the books that I enjoyed last year were actually nonfiction books. So I need to figure out how to tweak that and rework it. If I'll just leave it the same set 12 and just coast to my goal and surpass it while still enjoying reading nonfiction. As far as the goal of reading physically, I have not read a graphic novel in I don't know when, maybe like the year before last. And I really would like to get back into that. I know Saga wrapped up. That was one of my favorite series. I believe I still have the last 2 volumes to read to complete the series, and I would love to make that happen. There are a couple that I have of my own that I would like to finish, The Sculptor being one. Oh, what's the one about monsters? I'll insert pictures so you guys know what I'm talking about, but that one, I got that as a gift a few Christmases ago. I can't believe I haven't finished that one. So I'd really like to read those, knock those out, count that as physically reading, as well as tying up some loose ends. Like I would love to know how the story of Saga finally wraps up, and I can't believe that I haven't done that yet. In a perfect world but everything goes as planned, I would actually like to start up the blog again and keep my reviews there, as well as keeping my own journal for book reviews. Started off last year so well, you guys. Started off strong. Just using this My Book Journal. Absolutely love it. I'll show you guys one of the blank pages. Well, they're not blank completely, but it's great. It has the start date, finish date, author, publisher, year publish, genre for fiction or nonfiction category, where I bought, borrowed, or found the book, main character, subjects, my review and thoughts, overall rating, divided into quality of the rating, the strength of the characters, or the plot. Absolutely love it. Give you guys a little peek at how well I was doing at the beginning of the year. Oh, and you can record and like the list here in the beginning of the book for all the titles read. But I started off doing so well, you guys, like so strong. Slightly a little like art therapy, as well as printing out the book covers, writing the reviews here. Then I fell off. I don't know if it just became too much. I set up the pages and didn't finish. But I actually want to go back and revisit my thoughts on the books that I read last year. So hopefully, slowly, I will be able to update this at some point. I'd like to get another one and start this year off right, and hopefully I can keep going strong throughout 2023 as far as journaling and recording my thoughts and reviews on the books that I read. Another aspect that I'd really like to focus on and improve, I was really good with using Goodreads as far as tracking my reading and then just leaving a star rating, but as far as an actual in-depth, thoughtful review or even anything more than like a couple of sentences, it just didn't happen. Most of the books I just like left a star rating and kept it pushing. I don't feel like there's a lot of interaction as far as me with my little circle of people that I connect with or the different groups that I belong to. There's not a lot of interaction. It's really not calling to me. There's other things that I've wished for years that the app would track as far as like our reading statistics, things like that. Into a story graph. Totally fell in love with this when it came out a couple or a few years ago. Joined right away. Was using it, but I fell off and just went to the tried and true Goodreads just because I was used to it and familiar with it. So I'd really like to use StoryGraph this year. I love the stats that it tracks and the breakdown of your reading as like the year comes to an end. Just to me, it's more in depth, more of like the vibe of your reading is kind of detailed, and there's pie charts and graphs and just more up my alley, and I like it better. I just don't have a lot of connections over there, so the whole social aspect of it is kind of lacking for me. So if you guys are on StoryGraph, add your girl, the name is the same, Bookswithb as always, and I look forward to connecting with you if you're on StoryGraph. Okay, let's get to the good part. My favorite books of 2022. These are only in order read, not like the order of enjoyment or what stood out or stayed with me the longest. One of my stats that I totally like is on point, like there's no denying it. My average rating for last year, Goodreads said it was 3.1, which is right. I read a lot of just mediocre books. Like, I'm so over it. So over it. So I'm hoping for a better year with things that I'm more hyped about, that I enjoy more. Because, like, especially towards the end of the year, I don't know, like, the past couple of months, just, like, everything just about was, like, a 3-star book for me. And sometimes that was being generous just because I don't want to like crap all over people's creative process and their creative babies, you know what I mean? Like, because I could never do what they do, but just nothing hit with me, nothing was resonating, and I'm just really hoping for a better, more enjoyable reading year this year. Okay, back to the 2022 favorite reads. Let's see. The Winter People by Sarah McMahon. I've read a few books by her. I tend to enjoy her work. Although there was one or two this year that like didn't really do it for me. The Winter People I ended up giving 5 stars. How I told you guys that nonfiction books last year were some of my favorites. Yours Cruelly, Elvira. Excellent audiobook, you guys. It's read by Elvira. Fantastic. She's a great storyteller. Super interesting life. Highly recommend. As far as The Winter People, if you're into like thrillers or creepy, eerie, that one's not bad at all. I enjoyed that one. Did I mention that Elvira was 5 stars? Another 5-star read was Crying in H Mart. I think if there's any book that I've raved about a lot last year, it is definitely Crying in H Mart. When I tell you that I boo-hooed throughout the entire book, like crazy, like from the opening of of the book to the closing, like tissues in hand, snotty nose, boohooing, just it pulled at my heartstrings. I related to a lot of the things that the girl went through about family and food, the relationship with her mother, dealing with the loss and dying of loved ones. Highly recommend Crying at H Mart. The Book of Form and Emptiness, gave this one 5 stars as well. I had to read this for the BookTube Prize, which I will be participating in again this year. At least I think I will be. I signed up, so I'm pretty sure that I'll be a judge in at least one of the rounds. But I'm looking forward to that. Look forward to it every year. Have been participating since it started. Did I miss a year? I think I might have like skipped 1 year, but highly enjoy being a part of the BookTube Prize. I'll link Robert's channel below, so if you guys want to find out more information about that, you can. The Storyteller by Dave Grohl gave this one 5 stars as well. Again, an audiobook read by the author. Just, I don't know, if you guys are fans of alternative music, if you love Nirvana, Foo Fighters, if you follow any of his side projects, Queens of the Stone Age, like all that stuff, like you guys, or if you're just a fan of Dave Grohl in general, like super great personality, fun guy. I really enjoyed his story. Him reading it was very entertaining. And like I said, if you're a fan of that whole like genre or alt, or grew up in the 90s loving the music in Seattle, and that whole movement, highly recommend. Love me some Dave. Cultish, another 5-star read for me. This one talks about the different things that we're obsessed with in our culture. So not just actual like put on your black Nikes and cover up with like the purple blankets cults and drink the Kool-Aid type thing, but like just the things that we're fascinated with in modern culture and times. This one was very, very, very interesting read, like definitely recommend it. Next 5-star read was The Love Songs of W.E.B. Du Bois. It's a chunker, but highly recommended. Very interesting, great storytelling. The writing was excellent. Definitely one of, like, obviously, like one of my favorite reads last year for a reason. Next on the list was Burnout to Breakthrough. This was one of the ones that I listened to on New Year's Eve, but super hit home, very burnt out. If you guys follow me on social media, you'll notice like a lack of presence since around like fall last year. I went back to corporate work, and whereas I'm glad to be back in the workforce as far as corporate, it's taken a toll on my mental and my physical for sure. So this one, I was so glad that I found it, Burnout to Breakthrough. It really hit on like a lot of points and things that you think your eyes are open to, but it kind of like lifts the veil a little bit more. That one was great. 4 stars. Next was What Comes After. I gave this one 5 stars. It sucks because I have a horrible memory and I barely remember what it was about. But for me to give a book 5 stars, you guys, like, if you've been around a second, you know I'm like super, super, super picky, not swayed by like the current hype of Bookstagram and BookTube. Like, my opinions are my own and I'm proud of that. But I like this one. It was pretty good. Kind of like a thriller type vibe. Not a mystery, but you know, like kind of crime thriller, like what's going on, what's happening. I enjoyed this one. And last, The Perfect Ruin. I gave that one 5 stars. Enjoyed this one as well. I don't know why it's still kind of rare to have the option of reading a thriller by a person of color and just like having a different twist on it than like the usual. Like if you guys are fans or if you read the genre, you know, like a lot of things are the same and it's usually like the same story, the same type of people, same plot and tropes and all that. But this one was kind of refreshing and I enjoyed it very much. Okay guys, that's it for me. That's what I read, how I felt, what happened, what I didn't read, what I didn't complete of my goals. But thanks so much for joining me and hopefully I'll see you guys soon. If you did a 2022 wrap up or your goals for 2023, please let me know below in the comments. Like, I'm obsessed with these videos, would love to check it out. Other than that, I hope to see you guys soon. Thanks for watching.